Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. The next Wasteless World Talks are here with Bill McLean and myself, Mike Carrada. We will write on the back of a language towards the wasteless world, towards wasteless future. And we do it by talking about one word which I select and pick from English vocabulary. And today it's mountain. And Bill, the same question as usually. When you close your eyes and you hear the term mountain, what came first to your mind?
Oh, something that needs to be climbed. And the thought that comes right after that is I, I don't think I'm speaking about hills and trees and physical climbing, but more about mental climbing, something that's difficult to do, something that it's a challenge.
It is an interesting answer. And do you like mountains? I know that you live on the beach. So,
I I love mountains. I grew up in the forest. Uh, I'm not able to climb as tall a mountains as I used to be able to, but I do like them. Yes.
uh, you spoke about climbing from the mental perspective. So, in the noon discussion, there was Leslie said that when we are born, firstly, we are born on the top, on the peak of a mountain, and we go down. And then at one moment, we stop at the bottom and then go up again to end the life on the top. Do you see the same or similar?
That's very, yeah, that's very interesting because I think of myself as uh, being at the bottom of the mountain, looking up at how tremendously high that is, um, and then starting one step at a time, rather than being at the top and working down.
I do remember when I was 6, my mom get married again after a divorce, which left me with speech disorder and other things which are not nice. And my new father, which is today 83, he was a climber and he was a skier and he was a sportsman and he introduced me to climbing. So at the age of 6 or 7, I started to climb. And I do remember the moment when you climb a mountain or something where it's really only the top, you cannot walk down. And I do remember I climbed up to the top. I was so happy on the peak. And then I looked down and said, oh, how do I get down? And there is a way how the climbers use the rope and climb down very fast. So in a minute, you can do what you need an hour or more. And I was so scared about it. But when I tried and I find out that it works really, then I enjoy it even more than the climbing. Uh, how is it with you? Do you like more to go up?
What do you? I'm sorry. Finish your question, please.
If you like
Do
more to climb up
more up or
or to
down?
or down?
As you're talking about that, I'm thinking of being on the top of of a mountain in your work or in your career or something, and how scary it is to worry about the fall of going back down. So I'm not afraid of climbing up. It's hard work. I'm not afraid of that. But looking over the side at how steep the climb down will be, that I have fear about.
Do you think you share the same fear with the giants? Because all the giants try to be on the top of a fortune ladder, you know. But then
Giants, I believe, yeah, I think giants live in a world of fear.
I feel exactly that. I feel exactly that. So you know that I think in 1 week started in Brazil. I don't know what is first COP30, and after will be the Earthshot Prize, or it will be different. They are calling for meetings there, so they would like to talk about sustainability by killing the sustainability. So it's fascinating how it's COP30 already. So for 30 years almost, it's repeated the same, and nothing happened after. So, or nothing good happened after, just pledges and so on. So, uh, I will say, do you think that these people who organize it, that they see anything like the peak of the mountain?
What would the peak of the mountain, how would it be described? The peak of the mountain for COP would be realizing success in their mission, in their what they've been trying to do. Do you think that they really believe they're going to be able to do that without some sort of major change in their approach?
No.
I, yeah, gosh, that's tough. I would like to hear them describe why they have not been able to get to the top of that mountain in 30 years. In 30 years, they've not been able to get there. So what's the difference in the 31st year?
You know, the peak, if you ask me what will be for me the peak of COP, that will be that the current COP will be the last one. Last one needed.
Yes, no need for
Last one
no,
needed.
no, right. No, no one, no, not needed. Any again. Yes.
I
Now,
mentioned
it
that.
might be a little bit different for the United Nations, whose mission to you need somebody down year the next one
You
because
know,
we're all and we just love to fight.
the first time I mentioned this was when I tried to get to COP26 in Glasgow. Since then, I am banned from all COP events because I mentioned this idea. Would it be the last one? So they already, I think they are up to COP33 already in the planning, or 32 at least, I have seen somewhere. I think there's Azerbaijan is one of those, I think, not sure. But yeah, and do you think that humans, or let's say, for example, the leaders, the true leaders, that they are like the mountain or the peak or mountains?
So in my mind, the leaders, the real leaders are people like Michael Rada. They are not people who take bribes from businesses and who put their own cronies into office. Not at all. In fact, they do everything they should not do if they were truly a leader. So, uh, it what is going to make the big difference is in my thinking is the transparency that things like the internet allow us, um, where we know where their money comes from. We know who has bought this senator or this congressman. And the funny joke that I heard was the members of Congress, the giants, should wear uh, should wear coats like the race car drivers wear, so you know who their sponsors are, right? But we know that now because we know that better now than we did 30 years ago about who has bought and paid for them. And so everybody just kind of looks at them like, we know that you're a prostitute, which really sounds bad for real sex workers. I mean, I don't mean to compare real sex workers who are working for a living with the giants. It's so upside down. It's so upside down. So we need people like Michael Rada and 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 a million more people like Michael Rada who can say this is right, this is wrong, and and say that rather than just saying I want to be at the top, I want to be president, I want to be the mayor, right? Because people know now.
The reason why I compare leaders to mountains is that you see the mountains usually from a very long distance. It can be
Right.
the point to which you aim your travel and so on. And it is something what is visible. And of course, in the digital world, which you mentioned, it's easy to make you invisible. So there is, for example, a lot of changes. They just cut you out from 1 minute to another. They cut the accounts. So, but I think that it helps when there are palpable results left behind, because they are like the stones from which the other mountains are being created. And that's the right one. You know that I do not see myself as a leader. I don't like the term itself and so on. I don't call it. I call myself like that. But I do understand what you mean. But I think that you, Agalina, Charito, Ussi, and a lot of people. I told you about Ussi, the Industry 5.0 ambassador, young ambassador in Tanzania. He is a young guy. And today he wrote to the president of Tanzania in Swahili. I have the copy of the email that he would like to support the integration of Industry 5.0 in the national strategic plan. A young guy. And I asked him, because he was part of the noon discussion, I asked him, Usi, did you ever imagine as a boy that you will one day write to the president? And he said, yes, I did. I just didn't get the tool, the courage to do
Yeah,
so until I have learned about Industry 5.0 and I found the meaningfulness. And that was a powerful statement. And
that's
this is
very powerful.
this is I do remember, or my mom told me once that I was intended, or I talked about it to being a president as well as a child. I don't know why in a communist country it was very different. But I considered to be a president even in my because in Czech Republic you can be a president when you reach the age of 41 years. So I studied what the president can do and what cannot and so on. And it is so limited in Czech Republic that it's just a speaking head general, nothing more. So it has no sense for me. But another question. We are having the mountains, and then we dig tunnels in it to go through. Do you think that the tunnels are really bringing in a real life? I mean, in the life as you explained, the mountain in a career path, for example. Do you think a tunnel will help to reach the other end faster?
I'm not sure we want to get there faster. I think the reason that we have to climb a mountain is to become smarter, to understand life better. And if you have a tunnel and it's easy, what did you just learn? What you learned was to look for the tunnels. And not that a tunnel is bad, um, but a tunnel in your career where you can pick up the telephone and say, would it be possible for you to make this happen? Uh, and it happens. And so what did you just learn? You learned that if you have the right friends, if you have the right telephone numbers, you can make it happen. And and that's good and that's bad. But I think overall it's bad because you need to climb that mountain. You need to fall down and skin your knees. You need to learn how to stick in there and keep fighting, keep working, keep climbing. And that's not something you get by going through tunnels.
You know,
I think in my humble opinion.
uh, I do fully agree. And a few years ago, there was created, I don't know where, maybe US, a company called, I think, Earth Grid. And this company used a plasma cutter. So a high-tech, something like a laser, but more powerful, to cut through the stone. And they prove it. The technology is really working. You can save up to 85% of the cost and time by cutting it. But the interesting part about it is that you really like a laser through the stone and the stone evaporate. There remain a hole. And I was fascinating by that. So I watch it. I know it's a real technology. And just recently they make a test or a trial for the audience. They has been in some very special area with stones, and they cut such a hole in the ground. So, like if you would like to lay the cables, it was very fast. It was 1 meter deep. It was very soft, like glass at the end. But there has been no remains to cover the cables because all evaporate somehow or disappear. And first, when I saw this test, I was thinking, okay, so it's a great technology, but something is missing. And this is exactly to fall down, to brush the knees, to really face the challenges, fail, because you will not learn. You will go up, and what?
So in America, in this country, immigrants who come from other countries, um, as a boss in 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 companies, if I am given the choice to hire two people, one is an immigrant and one has always been in this country, I am prejudiced toward the immigrant because someone who has had to work to get here and work to learn a second language and work versus somebody who was born here and everything was handed out to them. It's so important. Work is so important. It's like climbing the mountain. Climbing the mountain is so important to be a better person, in my opinion.
Uh, I do agree. And maybe these people should really try, or we should try the people before they get some role or function to really challenge them in such an environment. And I know there exists something like a boot camps and so on. But I think nature prove you best because if you use the tunnel to stay on the top at the end, you will be the first one who fail because you will not be prepared for the challenges.
Yes.
And I think this is exactly what make the difference. You know, of course, mountains are. Do you think that if we take the stones out of the mountains and we build out of it a home or a bridge, that the energy of the mountain remains there?
No, it doesn't. That's part of the pleasure of climbing a mountain, as hard as it might be. Part of the pleasure is feeling, seeing the tree, the leaf, the animal, the dirt. Um, and you can't look at that in a book. It's not the same. You can't have somebody tell you about it. It's not the same. You need to smell it and feel it and get it underneath your fingernails. Um, so that's the beauty. One of the beauties of climbing the mountain is is being joined with Mother Nature, I think. What do you think about that? Is that you've climbed mountains? I've climbed hills, but not really mountains.
I do fully agree. And when I will be able to do it again, I will do it. But I was for a long time, I was not in the mountains. I love, for example, skiing, but my first wife didn't. She didn't like winter at all. So instead of going for skiing, we went to somewhere to the sea and Greece or Turkey and and I really was not in the mountains for skiing. But then I think I was not skiing for 17 years or so, something like that. And then, but before I did even the basic acrobacy and so on. I was quite a good skier. And then my parents took me one day to skiing, just one day. And what was quite funny? I get used, or when I was a kid, the measure of the skis should be higher than you, about 20 centimeters. But today, with this new type of skis, they are short. But I have my old skis, so I went there. Everybody was thinking that I have these running skis on because it's so long, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I was attraction at the day, and then my father borrowed me his skis, these short ones, and it was really easier. But I have not the pleasure. So I think that the mountains reminds us that they are not just the peak or the top, but they are connected to the ground. They are created differently. It can be a volcano, it can be whatever. I don't know this terminology in Czech, not even in English. So, but all have something similar. There is a long way up, but a very short way can be down if you fail.
Right, right. And my wife and I used ski. We used to carry the skis in our car when we went to work, and we would call each other at 5 o'clock quitting time, and say, "Do you want to go up to the ski?" Because it was only about an hour away, and oftentimes we would, on a work night we would go do that. Um, but I wanted to tell you, since you mentioned skiing, I once saw an obituary. Do you know the word obituary?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. When somebody dies, they
Yes.
write it up in the newspaper. And it was about a man who died, of course, um, in a skiing accident. And what got my attention was he was 85 years old, 85 years old, and he died on a black diamond. Do you have a black diamond over there? That's
Uh,
a
we call
the
it black. We call it black and red and blue. We don't call it diamond, but I think it's a very hard scheme.
it's the most difficult, right? A black
Uh-huh.
diamond, and so that's how I want to die. I want people to say, "Wow, 85 years old and he did that. Wow." So it's similar to climbing Mount Everest or something else. Even if I died, people around the world would say, "Wow, 85 years old and he tried that," right?
Uh,
Ugh.
in the US, there is I don't know whether it's called a hill. El Capitano is one of
Yes,
the highest one, and usually they climb without the rope. And we
yes.
have one very skilled Czech climber, a young guy, 30 or so, who win almost everything what can be won, and he was climbing this El Capitano. It was unbelievable to look at the footage. You just look at it, and there is a goosebumps on my skin. But
Yes.
it's fascinating. I cannot promise you that they will write about you after you die on a ski, but I can promise you, if you start to ride a unicycle, electric one, of
Ah,
course, They will write about you. You will be not be the oldest one because I think in the US a few years ago there has been a pair 92 years. And
Ah,
I don't know whether they are still riding or alive. I don't know. At the time they had been. But you will be one of those who you will get younger on this device.
yeah,
And
oh yes,
and Galina as well. It's not just for a man, it must be the pair who make the change.
yes. So we have both ridden a Segway. Do you know a
Uh,
Segway?
yeah.
Yeah, we've both ridden a Segway, and we both enjoyed it. Uh, but the challenge, the mountain for us is to keep trying those new things. So your unicycle, and there are many other things like that. We need to keep conquering that mountain.
And I think the next, that's a good question for you as an author. It's finishing a book the same like being on the top of a mountain.
Um, almost. I will rephrase your question. Um, uh, when I finish a book, I'm just exhausted and I have doubts in my mind, but I cannot pick up the pencil one more time. I just psychologically am not able to do it. So I'm not feeling jubilant and triumphant at that point. When I open the box from the publisher and I take that book out and hold it in my hands, that's when I'm on the top of the mountain.
That's wonderful. I hope that one day I will have the same feeling because I wrote a lot of, but nothing was ever published. But at least I love the digital world. And you know what? Have you heard that there is being created so-called Grokkipedia?
Oh, no, I hadn't heard that. Grok. Grok is one of those large language
Yes, yes.
modules.
The one who
Yes.
was who is being used and was developed for Elon Musk and Twitter. And it is my 123rd ambassador. And
Okay.
when I have learned about Grokkipedia, because there was information about it, it's generally the world through the eyes of Elon Musk, so very different eyes and very different looks. So I was thinking, okay, so he is working on that. Very interesting part. The latest information which I get yesterday is that in 1 month he used only artificial intelligence, and in 1 month he was able to create. It's not open yet, not launched, but 900,000 articles has been created. Wikipedia needs 5 years to do exactly the same amount. So 900,000, it's quite a lot. And I was thinking yesterday I did so. I think, okay, Grok is my ambassador, so let's ask him to create an article about Industry 5.0. And in 1 minute it was created. And it will be interesting.
And did it mention you?
Yeah, it was correctly. I will make some small changes, but very small one. But it was fascinating how fast he was able to summarize that, but we are talking for months already, so he knows all the data. But it will be crazy if after being banned by Wikipedia, when the Industry 5.0 term will be coined in Grokkipedia, that will be really, really crazy.
Oh, mountains, mountains, mountains.
Uh, how do you think, or what do you think are the mountains for your grandchildren?
Oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh. My grandchildren are my purpose in life. It's why I write. It's why I do everything. The there are mountains. There are mountains such as what do they need to learn. There are also mountains such as the mindset. One of the mindset mountains for my grandchildren is to stay human. Is to stay human and uh, not become a slave of AI, not become, you know what I mean? We are becoming more and more unhuman, and I can see that now in 20 or 40 years when they're sitting where I am. It's so that would be one of the big ones. What do you think? What do you think when
I think, I
your
think,
your your daughter doesn't have children? Your daughter doesn't have children now, right?
no.
No, so you're not a grandfather yet. Okay. Um, so
But
what do you think?
my mom was all her life the kindergarten teacher, so I spent a lot of time with children, and I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
I'm a child myself. But uh, what I think that it's great for the children that even the small rock on the beach or anything can turn into the
yeah,
biggest of all the mountains. And when they will tell about it, it will be a story when you see the fire
yeah,
in
yeah.
their eyes,
Yep.
how they climb it, how they move the mountain from one side to the other,
Yep.
you know. And that is what we have to keep.
Yes. Yes. And keep them from losing that spark in their eye. Uh, yeah. Yeah. And that's what the world does to people. That's what school does is it makes them into followers. It takes away that spark. It teaches them to do what the employers want them to do. Somebody told me recently that that every child is a genius. Every child is a genius. They're not a genius. They're not like all the other children in their genius, but they've got a place. They've got a genius in them, and I've heard stories um, that do we have 1 minute?
Yes, we have 6 minutes.
Um, and stop me if I've told you this story before, but there was a little girl in school, and she could not sit still. Could not sit still. Jumpy, jittery, whatever, and the same way her mind could not focus on what the teacher was saying. And they were about to expel her out of school because she was disruptive in class. And the old teacher who'd been around forever said, "Have her go sit in that room over there while we talk to the parents." And they and the child went in there, and there was a one-way mirror in there. So the old teacher and the young teachers and the parents were watching, and the girl was in there, and she started dancing, and she was such a fabulous dancer, right? And here the teachers were trying to teach her, the square root and how to multiplication tables and so on. And what she wanted to do was to dance. And that's what the schools do too often, is take away that genius in the children. So so when you talk about a mountain, one of the things that we as a society need to do is to recognize the genius in each individual child, and not push that genius down, not try to get them to be um, the same as everyone else. You know, just to watch children playing in the sand has taught me so much.
I will add one more thing. Not only to recognize the genius in a child, but to recognize a child in the human, no matter what age he or she is. because we carry our child inside. Very rare it occurs. It speaks crazy like that. It can do a lot of things, but it's inside of us, and we are ashamed and we don't use it but it's wrong because with the child is
Right.
the genius there. And I think that when we discover this and we target the genius in every single one of us, then the wrong things will simply go away because very few are evil genius.
I like that. The wrong things will go away. And that's what we have done is tried to teach, trying to make people go after the wrong things. There's a um, the gross national product, which is the sum of all financial transactions for a country. And it was developed in 1937, um, and and that's how we rank countries, right? We rank countries by what is the GNP of that country as compared to other ones. But that's not what makes a country great. Where's things like lifespan? There's even happiness scales that they use for telling which are the happiest countries. And right now, I think the happiest countries have been for some time up in Scandinavia, Sweden, Denmark, Finland. And why is that? And then look at their schools and how they teach. They're the best able to recognize propaganda because how they teach. And so just making the GNP to be the criteria for a country's goodness is the wrong thing. We're looking at the wrong things. We're looking at the wrong things. So there's a whole list of things that America, for example, is not number one in education. It's not number one in lifespan. It's not number one in healthcare. It's not, right? It's number 32 or number 18, right? And so why that's a mindset is we have to say what is good and do more of that and then say what is bad and do less of that. I didn't mean to ramble, I'm sorry. Um, but we have a lot of work to do. That mountain is pretty tall and we need to climb. We have not been climbing that mountain. We've been going through tunnels. We need to be climbing that mountain.
And you
It's a
are
good word.
absolutely right. And we have 1 minute left, Bill. So once again, we climbed the mountain today, and it was so fascinating journey that I will spend the night thinking about it, at least, and for the next week. But for now, thanks a lot for the great discussion. Have a nice time, free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free, be human, and please be the mountain for everyone around you. And greet Galina from me.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.